Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Jens Heitland Show, where I interview experts from different fields to connect the dots of innovation and entrepreneurship. Today's guest is the CEO of Innovatika. Innovatika helps corporations to build ventures. Please welcome to the show, Katarzyna Krolak-Wyszynska. Good morning, Kasia. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Good morning. Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure to have you. So before we go into innovation, into your experience, and as well into venture building, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What is your story?
Is it an interesting thing?
I believe so.
Okay, it starts over 50 years ago, so it's going to take a long time to give you the details. Okay, I will try to make it brief. Actually, I think that my story starts with the combination of different areas, a little bit of hard analytical business and economics life, and a little bit of more unstructured, more people-oriented and more unpredictable life, like being a journalist. And my life was, changing between being a journalist in the pirate television station to being the analyst in investment bank. So I was always trying different things, and the curiosity is something that really is a part of my life story, you may say. And I think when I was talking to my friends after this pirate television station was celebrating the 20th anniversary, they were asking me the question, how come is it possible that you are now in the innovation business and you were a journalist and you were running the TV shows, you were so good in doing documentaries, etc. Why are you now in the consulting business, etc. And I have realized that there is one thing that is very much in common for everything that I was doing, and it relates to people. And it relates to going deep into what are the needs, what are the problems, what are the contexts of different people and different situations, and then transforming the actions and transforming the lives of those people so that they feel better, also that they can achieve more. Yeah, and that's what actually I am doing. I like to just make products and businesses that support users, that support people in their lives and in their work.
How did you came to the point that you decided building your own business, opening your own business?
Actually, I was not the one who opened Innovatika. I met two students when I was working at the National Bank of Poland, which is a central bank in Poland. I tried to introduce innovation there, and it was a really long time ago. And in those days, we didn't use the word innovation that widely. And the word that was much more popular those days, like in 2005, it was knowledge management. So I was trying to introduce knowledge management to the Polish Central Bank. And I had the feeling that I am, trying to hit the wall with my head all the time. But there were several really good projects that we managed to run, and the results are still there. So I think it was not so bad what we did, and it was worth hitting the wall. But I was looking for people who are interested in the same area, and I was looking for inspirations. I was looking for, like seeds of communities around knowledge management. And I have met two students, as I said, from also my university, from Warsaw School of Economics. And they were running the project, which was a research project with several corporations in Poland that was built on innovation strategies. And they started to build a sort of the community and like a consortium of companies that were not competing with each other because they were coming from different industries, but they had really very similar challenges related to knowledge management or innovation. And they had started to build a community and the round table of innovation champions. And I have joined this community, and I was really happy to find them and to connect with them. And the more we were talking, the more we were dreaming together, the more we decided that that we could have a common future. And just after their project was finished, their research project was finished, the companies from this project, participating in this project, were saying, we don't want to live without you anymore. You have to support us, and you can do it on the commercial basis. So they have decided to set up the company that was called Inovatika, and for the first 6 months, none of those companies signed an agreement, and they were just, ready to shut down and say, it was a nice half a year, but we have to split and look for some revenues. And then the first company decided to sign the agreement just before the deadline that they have set to themselves. And that was the time that I said, okay, I am going to be your first investor. And I joined Inovatika, as you may say, as the first investor, and then we were building Inovatika together for a pretty long time. It's now 16 years old.
That's amazing. And how did it come that you then got to the CEO of Innovatika?
Oh, actually, we have decided to build ventures some time ago, because we knew that being in the consulting business, it's not always finishing with implementations. And that was something that we were really longing for. We were happy with doing a lot of projects that were more about building the concept and testing the concept, because that's really exciting, because you can work on different areas within 1 year. You can work for 3 or 4 different companies and 3 or 4 very different topics, and it's really exciting and very fulfilling. But on the other hand, you are giving your child to someone else, and you never know what happens with it. And we were also dreaming of having much more impact on the results, and we have tried many different things to set up our own daughter companies. And one of them actually was the Icon Pilot, which was the company that we set up in the United States. And it was pretty funny because it was the first Polish consultancy that was building the daughter company in the US.
Ah.
And we did it with our clients, actually, well, or ex-clients. They left their corporation. It was the 3M in US. They left their very safe, very safe professional careers, and they have decided to build a startup with us, and it was called Icon Pilot. And I still consider it a great idea because it was like a consultant in the box. It was do-it-yourself consultancy. And we have made all the mistakes possible when building a startup, I would say, and yeah, we failed. Actually, we had to close this business, but we were trying, many different things. The first, well, probably it's worth giving a little bit more details about Icon Pilot. The first mistake that we have made was about the customer segments, because we were the consulting companies that we decided, okay, we don't want to make a product for our competitors. We want to make a product for our customers, for our clients, and our clients were big corporations. So we want to make a product for big corporations so that they can, have a very good guidelines and description and the video description and all the materials needed so that you can go step by step through the whole process with your team. And we were even doing quite a lot of research, and we had the confirmation that the corporations our clients are interested in this kind of product. And so it was from the very beginning, it was very well defined that you need to be a corporation professional in order to buy this product. And later on, it turned out that 98% of the traffic that went into that came into our web page was from consultants and freelancers who were working for corporations, and they would be happy to buy it, but we didn't want to sell it to them.
Oh.
So we have, but by this decision, we have just eliminated the majority of the market. Then another mistake, which is a spectacular mistake, I would say, was the fact that we started building an online environment, and we have even went through a week or 2-week long online training, very intensive and exhaustive, of how to operate the e-commerce platform that was extremely expensive for us. It was like, $30,000 or $40,000 per year. And it was connected with the storage and managing the whole storage processes, etc., and logistics processes, because then we were mainly working offline with our clients, and we were having a lot of workshops, and the process was covering a lot of steps that needed interaction between the team, so that we knew that the best way to interact is to have physical tools. And we were planning to have physical, like a toolkit, a physical toolkit that would be sent to the teams, and they could use them. And we were preparing the infrastructure for this kind of product. After 2 months, we have realized that it's going to be a totally online toolkit without any storage and without any logistics. So so we have lost a lot of money and a lot of time for learning how to do it. And the main reason for that, I would say, was the fact that we were cooperating with the really well-seasoned managers from 3M who had a vast experience worldwide with making 3M products work, and with with putting them on the market, and with ensuring all the processes behind them. And they were, absolutely great in building the factory in China, but they had absolutely no idea about how to run a small startup that is, fragile and that doesn't have the millions of dollars on the bank account. So yeah, so there were several mistakes that we did, and that was, I would say, a costly but very valuable lesson that we have learned. And then we have realized that we can transform our failure into our successes. And we have we have established another daughter company in Warsaw that was connecting startups and corporations. And my colleagues had to take care of this child, so they moved and became the management board of our child company.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you very much for sharing. A lot of entrepreneurs are not eager to share their mistakes and their failures. So it's very, very good to hear that from you.
Actually, I would say, sorry for interrupting, but I would say that you would never have the success without a failure.
I agree. So, 100%. I mean, just when you said it's like coming from a large corporation, you have no idea how to run a small company. And I have been there myself. Like you start where you have, I was used to very big budgets and a lot of people supporting you. And then you're starting very small with a few people and no budget
exactly.
and trying to figure it out. Yeah, I love that. Very good. Yeah, and I agree. It's very important that you do failures all the time if you're an entrepreneur, and you learn and you learn and you learn. And some are bigger than others, but without failure, you're not moving at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you haven't answered the question how you got to the CEO.
Actually, that's how it happened. My colleagues went to our daughter company, and they are still there, and I am running the Inovatika. So
okay, cool.
That's how it happened.
That's awesome. And you're still cooperating, or?
Yes, actually, we have split. I mean, Inovatika has done already an exit from this daughter company, the Heart, and my colleagues left Inovatika.
Yeah, yeah.
But we are, of course, still cooperating. Yeah.
Yeah, love that. So I would like to go into innovation first, and then I would like to dig deeper into specifically corporate venture building, because you're an expert in that field. So innovation. I mean, Innovatika is already having innovation as part of the name. So what is innovation for you, and how do you see innovation happening or not happening, both perspectives, in corporations?
Innovation for me is something that generates value, which doesn't mean that it has to be totally new. It has to be new in a certain context, for a certain company, for a certain market, for a certain customer segment, it has to generate value for in a certain context. So it has to be something new for this company or for those people, and it has to be implemented. I mean, it has to be successfully implemented. Without implementation, there is no innovation.
Yeah. So how is it then from a corporate perspective? What do you see? Which companies and how do companies innovate and or not innovate?
That's a very good question. Actually, our story of Inovatika gives probably a little bit of the perspective on how how organizations innovate, because those 16 years ago, when we were talking that we are doing innovation, when we are talking to people about that, they were like, "Oh, you're doing the creative workshops." No, we're not doing the creative workshops. It's not about that. But of course, in order to survive, we had to do creative workshops. And of course, there was a lot of emotions and endorphins, and everybody was high in the sky. But then the next day, they were coming back to their desks and their offices and their routines. And it turned out that nothing that they were working on during the creative workshop could be put into their life. So it was frustrating for them. It was frustrating for us. But unfortunately, a lot of corporations were persistently doing it. They were just happy with providing sort of the entertainment for their for their employees. And then we started to do innovation strategies, to work on innovation strategies, because we thought, okay, let's skip the workshops, because people don't understand it. They are just treating it as the show and entertainment. So let's do the strategies, because that's the hard stuff. And it turned out that our clients are still treating it as something that is not serious. They just want to have something which is called innovation strategy, but they are not so willing to, make it happen. Yeah. So that was frustrating again for us. So we thought, oh no, we have to design products. So we started to invest a lot of our time into educating the market in Poland, at least, about design thinking, lean startup, and business model, canvas, etc., so that we can work with our clients on the real products. And that seemed to be really eye-opening for many corporations, and that was a nice part of our story. But again, we saw that there are so many problems around corporations in not in using the methodologies, because it's pretty easy to adapt the methodology and technique of design thinking or lean startup. But the problem is about the environment, the corporate environment, and that there is no support for failure, for example, in the corporation. Yeah. And as we said, there is no innovation without failure. You have to fail in order to discover the right path and the right final setup and the solution. And in corporation, for example, the failure is associated with the suicide, yeah, or the end of career. Yeah. You failed. Ha. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah. And the corporations are so much focused on, I would say, the optimization of the execution of current processes that they have, that they are just not capable of introducing something which is really innovative and really unsure, because innovation, as I said, is something new. So it's always unsure. And a lot of corporations still run sort of the innovation theater, I would say.
I love
And
that word. I love that word.
and they are so happy with it. They are so happy because there is so much, fog and lights that you can arrange, and you can talk about fantastic things. You can show that you have some interactions with startups. You run acceleration programs. You have so much, attractive content, let's say, that it really looks like you are doing the right thing. But when you look at it from a little distance, and you try to understand what are the results, what is the business result of it, the business impact of it, then you can show blank page.
Yeah.
There is not much that you can show, unfortunately, when it comes to results. So there are more and more corporations that have decided to break the innovation theater and try to do something that is much more result oriented, I would say, instead of promotion oriented. And there are more and more corporations who also introduce into their strategic innovation agenda. They are introducing also the notion of venture building, and that's what I am very very fond of, because that's how our story with venture building started. We knew that we have to do something that is much more, as I said, linked to implementation. And we understood that our clients, some of them are really looking for means to break innovation theaters. So we just connected the dots. I know that it's also the expression that you like, and I love it. and we just did what was obvious. We had to connect those two dots, and it turned out that venture building can be implemented in corporations, and it can work pretty well, actually.
I would like to double click on corporate venture building for the listeners who have never heard about that. What is it? Can you give a little bit of background what corporate venture building is?
Absolutely. So venture building is about building many companies at the same time. So it's about like making a factory for companies, for ventures. We don't like the word startup, but you can call it a startup studio as well, or venture studio. We don't like the word startup, especially in the corporate world. The startup is associated with too much risk and too much uncertainty, and too much flying in the clouds. And we are, as I said, very much interested in business results of everything that we are producing and everything that we are engaged with. So we like the word venture. The venture is business. So we are a venture builder, builds business on the regular basis, and it's a factory of ventures. And the corporate venture building means that the corporation becomes the investor, becomes the founder, and works with the venture builder in a way that we are the partners in building this business. And we as venture builder set up the team, but the team needs to have a person, an intrapreneur from the company who knows the business, who knows the people in the corporation, who has an access to the resources, who are very often absolutely valuable and necessary for the success of the venture, and who want to act as the startuppers. And we are responsible, we as the venture builder are responsible for the process, because the process is something that is our, I would say, our framework, or the scaffold.
Yeah, yeah.
And we just make this business happen. The corporation needs to be sure that the product is important for them. It has to be strategically important. It cannot be something nice, but it has to be important.
Yeah.
And so it also requires some effort and boldness to let a small company, like startup, like a small emerging company, to deal with important strategic topic, right?
Yeah.
It also
Yeah.
requires a boldness, but of course it should be the area that is not very much their core business. It has to be the adjacent business, right? Not the core business, because once it becomes too close to the core business, then all the regulations and rules and procedures attack this product, and then everything fails.
Yeah, I've been there. I know. So
Thank you.
if we double click on that, that's super interesting. So if we go into real example, there's let's say a corporation which is successful. They're running their core business, and they're looking into maybe there's something new we want to explore. So how do they engage with you?
Yeah, actually there are two main let's say triggers for the corporation to start this kind of conversation with us. One of them is about how can we enter a new market, a new customer segment, right? And one of the examples from our portfolio is the business that we do for the company from the energy industry, and they are serving only B2B customers. And they have strategically defined the new direction into B2C customers. And they said, try to make the inroads into this market with offering which is not close to what we are doing at the moment.
Yeah.
But we want to build relations with the totally new customer segments, and then once you have it operating and run, then we will connect it with our offerings. That's one of the triggers. Another one is when it comes to new ways of using the resources that already exist in the corporation. For example, one of the set of hotels said, we've got huge kitchens and we've got a huge amount of people who are capable of using this equipment, but we don't use the kitchens that we have all the year round.
Yeah.
You know, we need them 4 times per year. But on the daily business we use just 50% of the capacity. So how can we make use of this additional 50% of the capacity on daily business? So we started to build on the resources that are, or the assets that are already available. But actually the nice story, and it comes to the answer to your question, how our work together looks like, when we get the brief, and usually this brief is really very, very vague. Do something and earn more money with our assets. Do something great. So we start with the calibration phase, and we are making sure that the business, that there is the spot, or there is the opportunity that can be really used, or the gap that can be really made up. And in case of this hotel chain, we have realized after 2 weeks that building on their kitchen capacity is not the best way to start the business, and it's much better to start the business that would be using their conference rooms capacities. And we have built a platform that may be called a booking.com for conference rooms.
Yeah.
And of course, not only hotel chain was the provider of the venues, but that was the starting point and of course catering could be added to this as well afterwards. Yeah. So when we start with working with the corporation, I very much like when there is the entrepreneur who joins the team, and when we are following our process, which starts with the calibration phase. Then, of course, we've got the proof of concept phase, and then MVP, and then we've got the minimum marketable product, and then which means that we already confirm the ways to commercialize it. And then we've got the minimum desirable product, which means that we also need to build the whole structure and organization behind the product, so that all the processes and all the organization and all the culture is built, so that the customers love and desire our product. And of course, then you scale up, and it's the lovely part of it. So yeah, that's basically how it works. And just recently, there was another client that we started talking about the possible common venture, and their trigger, coming back to the triggers, and their trigger was even different. They said, we want to have a new sales channel, not a new sales channel, but a new channel to sell our offering, but to totally new customers. And we want the business who would have nothing to do with the banking, because that's one of the banks. We want the business who has nothing to do with the banking, but it somehow includes the payment transactions.
Yeah.
And anything like that, it may seem crazy, because why bank wants to be the owner of the company that, for example, sells cars or flats? but it's just very logical, because that gives the opportunity for them to really have access to new customer segments, to totally new customer groups, and that gives the opportunity to sell their products.
Yeah, it sounds that coming from the large corporate background, is like companies always want to have a very structured plan. So that's how it's going to work, and the success comes tomorrow. How do you engage with the companies who are pushing always for, hey, we need to have the big bang tomorrow? How does that work?
Yeah, that's one of the I would say challenges of this business. Of course, that's what we say at the very beginning. It will take 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And you have to take this risk. And if you want to go into this journey, join us in this journey, that's how it looks. It's 2 or 3 years before we present the break-even point. But at the same time, we give them what's the good word in English? We give them the risk minimizer, let's say, saying that we as Innovatika cover our costs for those 2 or 3 years, and we don't make profit on it. We will make profit only after this business is viable. When it turns viable, then we want the success to be
That's awesome.
to be felt also on our account. So it's either a corporation who is making the buyout of the full fully acquires this business, or we can go public with this company, and then we can just sell our shares on the capital market. But that seems to be pretty difficult for corporations as well. I have discovered it's a really big challenge for them, because corporations don't have the experience in having daughter companies who would go public. Oh no, we have never done it. We would never go this way. so it's sometimes it is a challenge for them as well.
But that means that in part of setting up this business, and you as a venture builder, you're owning pieces of that business.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, well, there are different setups. We may have a piece of this business. We do not need. Sometimes we have 100% of this business, because for corporations it's also a huge advantage, because they don't have any it doesn't need to have any impact on their image.
Yeah,
we are 100% owner. Then it looks like it's ours, and of course corporation is the only party who can be the owner of it afterwards. But there are also other settings possible, and we can do it without having any shares at all, but with a guaranteed success fee after a certain amount of time and certain KPIs that would be achieved. So there are different options that we are working with right now, and there are different corporations who have different mindsets, let's say, and they prefer different solutions.
But I honestly, I love your idea. I think it's a really huge opportunity for organizations. I mean, just me 5 years back, would be amazing to work together. It's a really, really cool idea. So how does it work from an international perspective? Are you focusing on the Polish market, or are you saying, no, we do this Europe or worldwide, or how do you do that?
We don't focus on the Polish market at all. Actually, right now, just a few days ago, we have launched, we have kicked off. Sorry, that's the word. We have kicked off the project, and we are building the solution especially for the US market. And I would say the beauty of the pandemic is that we can work from whenever we are, and there are people in the team who are based right now in Bucharest, in London, in Warsaw, in Wrocław, and like myself at the moment at the lake. But you can always show that you are in the
exactly that you're in the office.
Exactly. And that's absolutely wonderful. And we have no one in the US at the moment. Of course, there will be people in the later stages. We will need someone in the US, but we are not based. On the Polish market. But in many cases, Polish market is a good one to make some tests and experiments, and once we have it confirmed that it works here, it's easier to go forward.
Yeah, I really love the story, and it's kind of a circle. Like when we started today, it's like you started explaining how you did the mistakes in the US, and now you're closing that circle, having the knowledge of having done it 16 years ago, and all the knowledge and learnings from that, and now using that to support the client and doing it. It's beautiful. It's very, very
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you. That's how it is.
Yeah. I would like to transition to the last part, which is a couple of rapid fire questions. So if you could work with the project, or you could lead a project that's impacting every human being on Earth, what project would it be and why would you choose that project?
You know, it's a tough question. Right now, more and more, we are working on finding the solutions, the concepts that would be good for our climate and for sustainable development of our lives. And that's one of my dreams, you may say, to have this kind of projects developed more and more. We have one we have one project that we support, which is very much, I would say, social innovation, from the area of social innovations. And I wish that we could spread the idea of sustainability around corporations and around investors. And it would be lovely if we could have this kind, more projects of this kind, that they are based on the responsibility, they are based on future orientation, they are based on making things that are needed now to have impact in the future.
Yeah, love that. So looking forward, where will you be in a year from now? And you can answer that personal and or business.
When it comes to the business perspective, I would like to build a sort of the ecosystem, because Inovatika, as I said, was initially a consulting company. Right now we are, for the last few years, we are building the venture building leg. And I would like those businesses to strive, both of them. I would like to have the fund somehow created. It doesn't need to be our own fund, but I would like to have the fund that would allow us to make our own ventures grow.
Yeah.
Not necessarily ventures for corporations. And so yeah, I would like to see the ecosystem, the ecosystem running. And I would very much like the corporations to be much more aware of what are the advantages of venture building, and having the ventures set up parallelly to their big organization. And personally, I think that pandemic has a lot of bad sides, but also a little bit of good sides. And I would like to feel that I am, totally free. Fortunately, I'm vaccinated already, and I hope that the world will open, and I will be able to work from really different parts of the world, and enjoying my life and enjoying my work.
Yeah, great. How do you keep yourself informed and up to date, and how do you build your knowledge?
I like to read. Probably I would like to have more time for reading and thinking. However, I can see that once I have time for making things, it's also fantastic time. But yeah, I read a lot. I meet a lot of people. Actually, during the pandemic, I have started to invite people for business walks. And that's a great thing to do. Absolutely, the dynamics of this interaction is so great. So I strongly recommend business walks. So I meet a lot of people, and And fortunately, at Inovatika, we've got a lot of people who are curious, and they want to penetrate and digest the world, and we are somehow feeding ourselves with totally new ideas and insights. Just recently we have published the opportunity map for banking sector, because that's how we are exploring the world. We are looking for opportunities, for trends, and then looking for concepts that might be worth building.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Great. Kasia, thank you very much for joining me today. Where can people find you? How can people reach out to you?
I am available on LinkedIn, of course. I'm happy to answer all the emails or messages, and Innovatika.com is our website.
Yeah.
And I'm here for discussions and talks and inspiring people and making great stuff.
Yeah, I will add the links to you as well into the show notes. Kasia, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. Thanks a lot, Jens.
Thanks.